The Knik River Valley in southern Alaska, an area of untamed natural beauty, overlooked by the majestic Chugach mountain range. Its most famous feature is the spectacular 45-kilometer-long Knik Glacier.
All set, Stuart. Take the other strut, Gary.
In nearby Palmer, two friends are getting ready for a sightseeing flight to the glacier.
Okay, clear on this side.
Taking the pilot's seat is Dave Akers, a veteran flyer with thousands of hours under his belt.
I've been flying aircraft since 1974. It's rewarding, it's challenging. Really love to fly.
Man, this is what I'm really gonna miss.
Texan Gary Knoll came north 2 years ago to work in Alaska's oil industry and quickly became firm friends with fellow outdoorsman Dave.
Really appreciate this, Dave.
We went out and did a lot of sightseeing together. We both had a mutual admiration for the outdoors. I would just jump at every opportunity I had to go fly with him.
I really haven't known Gary all that long, but, you know, sometimes you just click.
Dave's been teaching Gary the basics of flying, but this is their last lesson for a while. Gary and his family are returning home to Texas.
Okay, Gary, ready to go?
Let's do it.
The 80-kilometer round trip should take no more than 2 hours. Dave and Gary plan to be back before dusk.
We were in just real remote scenery. No power lines, no roads, no human intervention in the land at all.
Alaska is just beautiful. It's called the last frontier, and it truly is the last frontier. There's just, you can get away from civilization very easily up there.
The weather stays fine as they track the river southeastwards. And after an hour, they reach their destination, the stunning Knik Glacier.
It's probably some of the most magnificent scenery that I can relate to. And I've seen a lot of country in my life.
Time's up, Gary.
Eager to land the plane while it's still daylight, Dave turns for home.
And as we headed back towards the airport,
Hey, Dave, look over there.
I remember glancing over to my right shoulder and seeing this mouth of this valley just opening up to our right there.
Let's go check it out.
Dave has never noticed this valley before.
Hey, come on, there might not be no next time.
Okay.
Intrigued, he descends to take a closer look. But what Dave doesn't know is that this is a notorious spot where over a dozen planes have crashed before.
I had a lot of trust in the airplane and a lot of trust in my ability. Just wanted to kind of get a feel for the environment.
15 minutes later, Dave starts his climb out.
The valley was back behind us. I remember Dave just giving it full throttle.
We don't seem to be going up.
I did a quick instrument scan and noticed that I was going down at 200 feet a minute. I thought, something's not right. I immediately knew we were in a downdraft.
The aircraft is caught in a column of rapidly descending cold air. Its 145 horsepower engine can't generate enough lift to overcome the powerful downward force. The plane is now plummeting towards the ground at over 10 meters per second.
I needed to keep my wings level and get my airspeed as low as possible because we were going to impact. I had no choice but to accept that.
I'll never forget him looking at me and saying, "We're gonna crash." The impact was tremendous.
Just loud, and I thought, oh no, what have I done?
Just feel the plane skidding and sliding.
And then a big noise, and then the lights went out.
After skidding for 30 meters, the plane has come to rest. Over 1,200 meters up a remote mountainside.
One of my first thoughts was, here I am covered in blood. I had a hard time focusing my eyes.
Miraculously, both men have survived the crash. But Dave appears to be unconscious.
I look around and I see Dave laid back in his seat and his eyes are just rolled up in his head. I'm thinking, man, this is not good.
Dave, you hear me?
I immediately start yelling at him and trying to get his attention.
Dave, talk to me, man.
He was incoherent.
But their injuries are not the only problem.
Dave, we gotta get out.
Gasoline was just pouring out.
The force of the impact has ruptured the plane's fuel tanks.
Get the door.
The wreck could catch fire and explode at any moment.
Come on, man.
Gary must get his injured friend to safety.
Go! Go!
I'm pulling and tugging on him and trying to get him out of the plane.
Come on!
He's not responding.
Wake up!
I didn't have time to think, oh, are we gonna die or whatever.
Come on, man.
I just knew we gotta get away from the plane.
Come on.
Just kept yelling at him, come on, Dave, we gotta move, we gotta get out of here.
Gary finally manages to drag Dave clear of the wreckage and out of danger.
And the next thing I knew, I'm staring at the tundra. I recall thinking that we're two very lucky people to be alive.
Against all odds, Dave and Gary have survived the crash, but both have sustained multiple injuries.
I remember having a lot of pain up in my right chest and shoulder area. And then I looked up at Gary, and he had a pretty good gash in his forehead.
He's gonna look good. I'm okay.
Gary doesn't know it, but he has a serious skull fracture. Dave has broken 2 ribs and fractured his collarbone.
We needed to get some help quick, but nobody knew where we were at. I immediately started to feel guilty for what I had done.
Their unplanned detour means they're well off the usual flight path, and they've left their mobile phones back at the airfield. Their last hope is the plane's high-frequency radio. But to reach it, means braving the fuel-soaked fuselage.
The gasoline was still just pouring out of the plane, and we just determined we had to take a chance.
Gary grabs vital emergency gear, while Dave checks the radio. A single spark could ignite the fuel, turning the wreck into a lethal fireball.
I reached over to the master switch. I turned on the radio to see if there was anything there. There wasn't any power. It was just dead.
It's a devastating blow. Out here, it could take weeks for rescuers to find them. Now there's only one option left. They must walk off the mountain while they're still strong enough.
So we gathered up everything we had.
The men decide to head for the Kinnick River, where they hope to hit a logging road. But they set off woefully ill-equipped to survive in the harsh Alaskan wilderness.
You reckon I ought to get a jacket? Ah, don't worry. We'll be up and back before you know it.
I was dressed in my shorts, t-shirt, my tennis shoes on. We just thinking we're gonna go out for a quick sightseeing trip, but it's not the way to be dressed when you're out in the wilderness of Alaska.
An inventory of the bag they salvaged from the plane reveals little by way of supplies.
He had a little emergency bag that had some peanut butter, some bandages, some tarps, some old towels, a couple of sleeping bags. It was pretty limited, but we were able to utilize some of the things in it. Before we started down the hill, I made a sling for Dave's arm.
Sorry about this. We gotta put a sling on this thing. Okay. Easy. Better? Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Then I tore a towel in half and got the bleeding on my forehead stopped.
But Dave and Gary are taking an almighty risk. They've crashed in an area with the largest brown bear population in North America. Often weighing in at over 300 kilos and standing at over 2 meters tall. The native brown bear is a fearsome predator, capable of ripping through flesh and bone. And they can smell blood up to 30 kilometers away.
Here I am covered in blood. Dave is injured, and we're in bear country with no firearm.
With 40 kilometers to cover to the nearest settlement, their chances of survival are slim.
I would estimate we probably traveled 2.5 miles away from the plane.
You all right?
The going was so tough, and Dave was hurting.
Dave's smashed rib cage makes every movement searingly painful.
The pain was pretty intense, so at that point, I needed to rely on Gary's direction.
Here, above 1,000 meters, nighttime temperatures can drop below freezing. And as the sun begins to set, both men start to feel bitterly cold.
We're looking for ways to stay warm. So we made some makeshift ponchos.
Yeah.
The grueling climb saps what little strength Dave has left. And now Gary's in trouble too.
I don't feel good.
I'm thinking something weird is going on here.
Come on, Gary, we gotta keep going.
Man, this is really strange. But I knew we had to keep on going.
What you doing? It's this way.
It's this way.
And he's going, why are we going south?
I promise you, it's this way.
I've normally got a great sense of direction, but I think in the injuries to my forehead were beginning to take a toll.
Gary's growing confusion is a worrying symptom of his fractured skull and severe concussion. Up to this point, he's taken the lead. But now, he realizes that it's his turn to rely on Dave.
At this point, I decided to follow Dave's lead. I mean, he seemed to be thinking clearly.
Gary needs urgent medical attention. The search efforts continue. But as the friends' unplanned detour took them way off the usual flight path, the search doesn't extend to where they're stranded. "24 hours after the crash, Dave and Gary still haven't reached the Connect River, their route back to civilization.
I gotta rest.
Then, Gary catches sight of something through the trees.
And then I can remember seeing what I thought was a hunter. Thought, man, that's odd. It's not even hunting season.
Dave! Look!
Gary, what is it?
I thought I saw a hunter.
Gary, there's nothing there.
At this point, I'm starting to understand that Gary's operating in some sort of a reduced mental capacity.
Gary's erratic behavior is worrying Dave. For the first time, he realizes that his friend's head injury could be life-threatening.
Watching Gary go through that, it increased my feelings of guilt for having caused the accident in the first place. It gave me a drive to want to do everything I could to make sure that we could get to some help quick.
The friends' hike to safety just became a race against the clock. Dave pushes on, determined to get his friend the medical help he so desperately needs.
I turned around and there was no Gary. I thought, how can that be? He was just here. You know, where did Gary go?
Gary has disappeared. His worsening head injury makes him completely reliant on his friend for survival. Dave retraces his steps, fearful of what he might find.
I'm here, Gary. Come on.
When I called him and he didn't answer,
Come on.
and I called him again and he didn't answer, that was a very low moment.
If Dave can't find his friend, he will die.
All of a sudden, his whistle went off. He had tripped and fallen in the brush. It was just amazing to see Gary again.
I began to taper off, mainly due to the impact to my forehead, and I really began to hallucinate.
I'm here, Gary. Come on. Come on, Gary. Come on.
And I remember thinking at this point, man, I'm sure glad Dave was there with me, because I did realize that he was thinking right.
The two men are tantalizingly close to the Kinnick River, their route map to civilization.
Come on, keep coming.
But Gary's condition is getting worse with every step. He could slip into unconsciousness at any time.
But then I heard the sound of an aircraft.
Look!
It was headed right up towards us.
It's a de Havilland Beaver. It's red. I know the people who even operate the airplane. It's that close, I can see it.
Quick, quick, flare!
The plane is flying upriver towards the Kinnick Glacier. Gary and Dave scramble for the emergency flare they retrieved from their aircraft.
The timing just perfect. He was coming right at us, and I shot the flare off right in front of the plane.
And I'm thinking, it just doesn't get any better than that.
The flare started to illuminate. When it got to its crest, the plane banked away 180 degrees away from us. He never so much as saw it.
It was disheartening to me to see the plane fly off. There has to be the golden moment for a rescue, and it wasn't our golden moment.
It's a crushing blow. Gary's survival chances just took a major hit. The men stumble on, but now even the terrain seems to conspire against them.
It is just nothing but tangled sticks and brush. We literally couldn't see much more than about 50 feet. It's thick. It's really thick.
Gary, come on!
I could really just feel a sinking feeling coming on me. It would take 10 times the effort to just go 5 feet.
And now, Gary has completely lost his grip on reality.
I would see camps, campfires, tents. They would just vaporize. They would just vanish. There was nothing there.
As the light fades, Dave starts to feel desperate.
Come on, keep coming!
He's convinced that Gary won't survive another night out here.
Come on, Gary, get up! Keep coming, keep coming.
Watching Gary not move as fast, being quieter, that was a real sinking feeling. Quietly, I talked to God and prayed for our survival. And then I hear car engines. And I think, no, that's not car engines. Then I hear it again. And then I hear a big roar.
And then I see lights shining through the trees.
Look! Hey! Hey!
By some miracle, Gary and Dave have stumbled onto a logging road and a car full of holidaymakers.
They come running up to us there, and it was just the most awesome thing. I was very blessed to be alive.
After 33 hours alone in the wilderness, Dave and Gary are finally rescued.
We were going home. It's remarkable that we survived the crash. It's remarkable that we were in physical condition to be able to walk out. And it's remarkable that we did not have a physical encounter with a bear.
The men were rushed to hospital in Palmer, where doctors treated Gary's head injury. He was lucky not to need surgery, but it took him nearly 6 months to get over the effects of his fractured skull. An air search took 2 weeks to locate Dave's crashed plane. Despite his terrifying ordeal, Dave was back at the controls within 2 months.
I'll continue to fly. I'll continue to love aviation very much. I don't see my life without it.
In fact, Dave is renovating another aircraft to replace the one he lost on the mountain.
I'm fortunate to be able to go on as a pilot, and I'll encourage others, including Gary. I hope that he continues on to get his pilot's license.
The experience has made Dave and Gary's bond of friendship even stronger.
Me and Dave have grown really close. You don't go through an experience like that, somebody and survive and not come out of it a lot closer.
Could I have done this alone? I don't think so. I think that if it wasn't for Gary being there, that I wouldn't be here.
So come on, baby. Come on, baby. We're gonna rock it all night long.
26-year-old Canadian Jordan Nicurity has a passion for the great outdoors. After finishing his degree, he worked on organic farms all over Western Canada before losing his heart to the tiny island community of Hornby off the country's North Pacific coast.
There's a real sense of community, people helping each other out, everyone knowing everyone. That's something that really appeals to me.
Hornby has one small settlement and only a scattering of residents.
There's a lot of great people there, and there's not too many people there, so those are two things that I sort of value.
And it has another major attraction, kilometre after kilometre of hiking country and a wild and windswept coastline.
There's lots of great hiking around there, huge sea cliffs. The sandstone formations are really quite unique. It's just gorgeous. Really a picturesque place.
Jordan runs a small gardening business, but he grabs every chance he can to take off on a hike. Today, he's heading for a remote beach on the island's easternmost tip. He'll take some nature photographs and be back home where he lives on his own by lunchtime.
It was sunny, but it was still, the end of October, so I threw in an extra big wool sweater, made myself some tea, I threw it in my backpack. Threw my bag over my shoulder, and instead of just following the trail, I just decided to go bushwhacking. It was definitely a bit of a scramble up and over some logs and that sort of thing. All stuff I like doing.
Half an hour later, Jordan reaches the coast. 10 meters below is the famously inaccessible Mushroom Beach.
The way down to the beach is kind of treacherous. It's tricky to climb down. The steepness of the descent keeps most people away, so it's kind of nice and secluded. There's a rope that someone had tied to the base of a tree near the top to sort of help over this one bit, which is pretty close to vertical. So I just hung on to that and followed that down.
It's a tricky climb, even with the aid of the rope.
Careful now.
Jordan knows the only way off Mushroom Beach is to climb back up the cliff. But that's a problem for later. Hornby's vacation season ended weeks ago, so he has the place all to himself. The only sign of life on the beach is a makeshift wooden shelter.
It was sort of a neat thing to look at. I took quite a few pictures of it. I plopped myself down on the beach and leaned back and sort of relaxed for a few minutes. And pulled out an old 1970s National Geographic that I'd gotten at the free store on the island and proceeded to while away the next hour or so just reading. The breeze was nice and warm, the tide was out, hear the waves crashing a little bit. It's about as peaceful as you're gonna find.
After his break, Jordan sets off to look for images that inspire him.
I started as a newspaper writer, and the photographer there taught me a few things, and I fell in love with it. There's lots of unique stuff on Hornby to keep the rolls going through the camera pretty easily.
Jordan heads north in search of the sandstone rock formations the beach is famous for.
That was part of my mission. I was going to go take some pictures of the sandstone.
After exhausting all the ground level angles, he starts looking for a high vantage point.
The cliff wall is continuous all the way around, and I spotted a ledge about halfway up that looked like it would be quite a nice perch to get some good shots of Vancouver Island on the horizon. I decided to leave my camera up and see if I could make my way up it, and then if it looked like it was a decent spot, then I'd lug my bag up. It was quite a big camera bag. I had all my gear in it. Was wondering how I was going to get up there. There was no obvious route. I've always been one to sort of enjoy climbing trees and scrambling over boulders and that sort of thing. So it was pretty easy climbing. You know, I didn't have to find any handholds or footholds or anything like that.
But the higher Jordan climbs, the steeper the cliff becomes.
I made my way up quite a treacherous little section. The cliff right there, it's pretty much vertical.
He then hits another problem. To get to the ledge, Jordan has to clamber around a bulge in the rock face. Jordan thinks about giving up the climb. He knows a slip from this height could prove fatal. But he really wants that shot.
I just reached around to sort of shift my way around it. Virtually as soon as I got my fingers into this crack, this rock came off. I had my footing on the ledge, but not my balance for what seemed like an eternity. I watched this rock go down. There was a good 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi before it hit. I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's me next. I knew I couldn't keep my balance and instantly got the feeling you get in your stomach when you're going over the top of a roller coaster. The adrenaline kicked in right away. I knew that this wasn't going to be a little twist your ankle sort of fall. Below was just a bunch of jagged rocks. I knew that I was going to be quite a mess at the bottom. I was thinking I was going to have to be sponged off the cliffs pretty much. When I first started falling, Time seemed to slow about as close to stopping as it could. That was sort of the most surreal part of the fall, but it didn't take long for gravity to speed it back up again. Then suddenly I was on the bottom. There I was at the bottom, staring up at the blue sky and where I had just been, up on the ledge there. And I could feel that there'd been a big impact. My head was definitely swimming. It just hurt. But I was surprised I wasn't dead. That was my first thought. I was more happy than scared at that point, just because I realized the fall was over and I still had my brains in my head.
It's a miracle he's alive. But Jordan can't believe he's escaped serious injury.
I knew I couldn't have gotten away from a fall of that height scot-free. The first thing I did was check my head. I figured I must have given it a pretty good whack. Nothing felt broken, and everything else was looking pretty good. So I was sort of enjoying these small victories.
He remains cautious.
My next fear was that I'd broken my back somewhere and wouldn't be able to move my legs.
Paralysis is his worst nightmare.
It took me about 5 minutes of laying there to get the courage up to try and wiggle my toes. When I did finally get the courage and they moved, I was ecstatic. Felt that if I was still alive, if I wasn't paralyzed, then anything else would be inconsequential. My next mission, I suppose, was to see sort of what shape I was in beyond those two basics of still being alive and still being able to move my legs. As soon as I tried to roll over, I could sort of feel the bone, them grating against each other. I immediately knew that something was, very, very broken. I I don't know if heard is the right word, you sort of feel it more, a crunch. I was sweating from the pain and from the shock, and I reached behind and just gently sort of was touching my hip. I was very aware that it wasn't just a little crack. Where once there was smooth bone, there was now a couple jagged pieces sort of grinding into each other, and was pushing against the skin.
The fall has completely shattered Jordan's pelvis. It's a horrific injury that effectively separates his right leg from the rest of his body. Standing is out of the question. He tries to turn onto his stomach so he can at least crawl. Now Jordan realizes the terrible situation he's in. He's left his mobile phone in his van. He lives on his own, so no one will be looking for him. And Mushroom Beach gets almost no visitors this late in the season. Jordan is completely on his own.
I knew that the seclusion of the area was definitely not in my favor.
Jordan lives alone, so it could be days before anyone notices he's missing. His first priority? To find warmth before the chill of the North Pacific night sets in.
My mind went back to the beach and all the driftwood there. My plan was to somehow get back there and have myself a nice, cozy bonfire.
He'll have to rely on the strength in his arms to haul his entire body weight up the rope.
There we go.
But there is no alternative. If he doesn't attempt the climb, he will die on the beach.
1, 2, 3. Ah!
My hands were more hamburger than hands, and just with my strength, my injuries, the odds were definitely stacked. Using my hands as much as possible to brace myself. I was being so painstaking in choosing which rocks I would use for a handhold, knowing that if I made the wrong choice, that would be the end of me.
Jordan knows he can't survive another fall. His crushed pelvis means his legs are useless. All he can do is trust the strength in his arms and pray that the rope holds. He's nearly at the top when the unthinkable happens.
The rope came undone from the tree that it was attached to, and I was very lucky not to tumble back down when that gave way. Luckily, it gave me half a second to reach over and grab the nearest rock and somehow keep from falling.
Jordan realizes with horror that his arm muscles are about to give out.
My arms were just dead logs, and my grip was becoming weaker and weaker, and it was becoming apparent that something, one way or another, was going to happen pretty soon. It was the scariest point of the whole thing.
Jordan calls on the last drop of strength in his failing muscles.
I was very aware that it was do or die. I was just completely out of strength. In my arms, I couldn't feel my hands, I couldn't get my fingers to flex, and they just weren't able to keep a solid grip on any rocks.
There are now just centimeters standing between him and safety.
If I didn't get above it, I would die. There was no question. And if I fell from this wall as well, I would die, and there's no question in that. With the slickness of the rocks and the lack of feeling in my hands, it was a pretty perilous way to sort of maneuver, but that was all I could do.
If he slips now, then his grueling two-day ordeal will all have been in vain.
If I made a wrong move here, I was either going to die or be paralyzed.
He's made it.
When I found myself down top after I'd flopped myself over the top of the vertical bit, I really felt that I'd gotten past the worst of it.
But it's come at a terrible price.
I had cuts everywhere, as broken up as I was, so near complete exhaustion that I couldn't move a muscle for probably 10 minutes. but I'd felt like I'd just climbed Everest.
Jordan's achievement is superhuman, but it's only one small step towards survival. It's taken him 2 days to cover just 500 meters. The main road is almost 3 times as far again, and he's chronically dehydrated.
1, 2, 3.
I was still in the same predicament I was in when I was at the bottom of the cliff. Very badly injured, and although physically closer to getting help, there's no sign of it anywhere.
Help!
You know, I'd call for help.
Help!
There was no sign of anyone.
Help me!
Jordan is hoping that if he can reach one of the forest trails, he might encounter a hiker.
The weather was still not exactly what you'd call ideal hiking weather, so I didn't really expect anyone to be out tramping around at that time. I was so thirsty, every cell in my body was, you know, just dying for water. You can go without food for, you know, a week or 2, but 4 days without any substantial amount of water, and you're not going to be around much longer.
The rain-soaked ground chills Jordan to the core. But after nearly 100 hours without fluid, he grabs the chance to ease his parched thirst.
I was just so thirsty. I'd see a particularly tasty-looking droplet on the edge of a blade of grass. So I was basically just crawling around, licking the grass for the water. And, you know, if you found a cobweb that would have 20 or 30 good-looking drops on it, I would pretty much just eat the cobweb. The toll from the climb up was pretty apparent, but I knew I had to keep going. So instead of looking at it as one big long pull that I had to do, I would break it down into sections of about 10 pulls, and then I'd rest and give myself 5 or 6 seconds of rest and then go as hard as I could.
Close to collapse, Jordan drags his broken body across the forest floor for 6 punishing hours. As the light starts to fade once again, Jordan claws his way to a picnic table. In spite of his agonizing injuries, Jordan has somehow dragged his shattered body on an epic journey of nearly 2 kilometers and up a sheer cliff. But now he's exhausted all his physical and mental reserves.
I could feel that my health was getting worse. I couldn't go any further forward. Pretty much figured that I wasn't going to be making it out, no matter what I did.
Despite all his heroic efforts, Jordan Nikerti is convinced that at the age of 26, his life is ending.
There was nothing to do but lay there, wait for death, and you know, think of all the people that I wasn't going to see again.
By some miracle, Jordan survives the night. As dawn breaks, he draws on his final ounce of strength and determination. Severely dehydrated and slowly dying of his injuries, He forces himself to go on in a last desperate bid for life.
My plan on the fourth day was to get as close as I could to where people might chance upon me. I was that close to death. All I could think was just keep pulling.
The temptation to curl up and let go is overwhelming. But Jordan refuses to go quietly.
It probably took me around 2 hours to get about 20 yards. So I was only maybe going 5-6 feet at a time and then passing out for 10 or 15 minutes. The physical reality had set in, and there was really no more mind over matter to be had. There was no way I was going to get to the trailhead, or very much further for that matter, because the distance I was able to go before passing out was just getting shorter and shorter. I was actually going to die very soon.
Then he hears voices. He thinks the sound is hikers on a nearby trail.
Help me, please.
It was my first real chance of rescue.
Please help me.
I yelled as loud as I could to attract their attention.
Help. Help.
But Jordan's yells emerge as barely a whisper.
Help me, please.
The voices melt away into the trees.
It just seemed like it was just the cruelest joke. I was thinking that was my chance. That was it. The despair I felt at getting so close to being rescued, I've never felt that much bleakness in my life.
He starts to slip in and out of consciousness, dreams and reality blurring into one another. The sounds of voices return, just meters away.
I started yelling again.
Help. Help me,
And just
please.
yelled and yelled at them.
This time, Jordan can actually see hikers through the trees. But they're getting further away.
Every step they were taking my survival with them.
Please help me.
The last two people in the group were probably about 2 steps away from being out of sight behind these trees. And there was a lady in an orange rain jacket, and I could see her stop and sort of cock her head, and she obviously had heard something. She started looking around and took a few steps back in my direction and finally saw me. As soon as she saw me, I can't even describe how relieved I was. I just watched them run towards me and just thought to myself, well, I've done my part, I'm your problem now. It was beyond joy, it was beyond anything. This was a chance at life again here.
You hear me? You hear me?
Jordan's 4-day ordeal would have finished most people, but his stubborn refusal to give up saved his life.
I came as close as you can get, I think, to dying, and it looked like I was gonna make it.
Jordan was treated for a ruptured pancreas and internal hemorrhaging, injuries that could have killed him within hours. In a series of operations, surgeons fixed Jordan's shattered pelvis using 12-centimeter long titanium screws. He also needed major skin grafts to his legs and hands. Jordan recovered fully and enjoys life at home with his family. He lives every day as though it's his last.
The only guarantee that we're given is that we will die. We can't pick when or how. The only thing we can affect is what we do with the time that we're given. I see my life now as something that is not to be squandered, even in the smallest amount.